On this week's Flames Central, Liberty basketball continues its home dominance as they come down the home stretch of the non-conference season.
Plus, the powerful story of a Liberty alum who has overcome a tragic accident while finding purpose through the pain. This is Flames Central.
Welcome to Flames Central, coming to you today from the sparkling, brand new Liberty Arena. How is this set up?
Yeah,
pretty good, huh?
This place is tough to beat. They're even kind enough to put our logo in the video board. Matt, it's the little things like that that make it feel like home.
Real nice. Well, this is the home for both the men's and women's basketball teams here at Liberty, and it's been a friendly environment, you could say, so far this season for both. In fact, the Liberty men had 2 midweek games this past week. Now, entering play on Tuesday against South Carolina State, the Flames carried a 26-game home win streak. And early on, it looked like that streak might be in jeopardy. Liberty fell behind 14-5, but then LU would flip the switch. Chris Parker provided the initial spark, scoring 6 straight points. And then Darius McGee would get scorching hot, as he does. McGee scored 14 points in just under 4 minutes of game action. He would finish with 16 and would help the Flames finish the half on a 31-1 run. Ooh. The second half, that was just a laugher. Elijah Cuffey got hot from deep. He'd finish with 16. And big fella Blake Preston would secure his first career double-double. The Flames cruised to an 82-52 win. The third straight season they've knocked off the Bulldogs of South Carolina State. Now, after beating them, the Flames wouldn't waste any time getting back on the court. They'd turn around and play Carver College the very next night, and Liberty would take care of the Cougars. The win moves the Flames' overall record to 7-3, while giving them 28 straight home wins. It's been almost 2 calendar years since the Flames last lost in Lynchburg.
The women would also be in action, hosting the Carson Newman Eagles. Carson Newman, not your everyday D2 school. These ladies drained over 300 triples a year ago. It would be a back-and-forth first quarter of action. The Eagles would shoot 75% from the floor in the first, but LU would capitalize on 10 turnovers to keep it at 20 all. Let's fast forward to the third quarter. Still a tight ball game with LU leading by 6, but then Baker and Lytle would take over, single-handedly outscoring the Eagles 19-13 through the remainder of the third. Baker would nail a triple as the clock expired to end the quarter, giving Liberty a 70-49 lead, and LU would never look back. Baker would finish with 19, Lytle with 16 as the Flames down Carson Newman, reaching 500 on the season. We now welcome in Emily Austin. And Emily, this next story is powerful, to say the least.
Yeah, Rhett. Christy Wise is someone we can all look up to no matter where we are in our walk with the Lord. She's an LU alum who graduated with a master's in theology, and she's leaned on sports in each chapter of her life, whether it's ski racing in college or dominating the Warrior Games for wounded soldiers. The lessons that she learned from being an athlete is what helped her get back into the sky after a tragic accident.
As soon as they lifted the blanket off my leg again and the surgeon saw it, I could tell by her face. I was like, it's gone. From the very beginning, it was never really sad that I lost my leg. It was more like rejoicing that I was still alive. As an amputee, I now have a lot of prosthetic legs, and I have named them all. So this is Xena, Warrior Princess. It's the one that I'm wearing right now. In a major life event like this, everyone copes differently. But for me, I've always been a busy person, and I've always just loved being a part of so many different things. Shredder. This is the ski leg. I actually grew up ski racing, so I didn't have any ambitions of being in the military, but I just wanted to continue playing sports in college. And so I got recruited for the Air Force Academy ski team. Once I was there, I thought it would be really cool to be a pilot. You just go over basically every single switch in the front of the plane, and you're making sure all the switches are in the correct position before you put power on the airplane. I always knew that I loved flying, but I don't think I realized how much until, there was a chance that I might do something else. So it was April 11th, 2015. It was starting to get dark, and that's when my friend Tim and I decided to go out on our paddle boards. And we had done that 100 times before. Because it was getting dark, we brought headlamps with us. And I looked up and I saw 3 lights coming right at me. So what I did is I was like, oh shoot, they don't see me. And so I took off my headlamp, it was in my hand, and I waved it at the boat that was coming at me. They weren't going one way or the other. And so that's when I jumped off my board to the left into the water. And I remember the sensation of my sweatshirt getting wet. The boat actually struck me in my shoulder. The first miracle that happened is I pushed off the bottom of the boat and I swam down. And so that, hands down, saved my life, because otherwise my entire body was gonna go through the propeller. But because I pushed off the bottom of the boat and swam down, then the propeller of the boat struck my right leg as I was swimming down.
The boat, which never stopped after hitting Christy, severed her femoral artery. She lost 65% of her blood in just 3 minutes.
The way my sister and I like to think about it, or what we've said before, is that the miracles started that night in the water and then they just haven't stopped.
What helped save her life was a tourniquet made with her friend Tim's long-sleeve t-shirt, but they both knew they needed help and they needed it fast. That's when they noticed a couple in a fishing boat nearby.
We both thought, hey, we need to signal that fishing boat. And then I reached down and my headlamp was still in my right hand, which to me is so cool because that to me is God. Like, there's no way I got hit by a boat and all this stuff happened and now I need to signal this fishing boat and my light's right in my hand.
By the time they got to the dock, an ambulance was waiting to transport Christy to the nearest trauma center, 45 minutes away in Pensacola, Florida.
That night, I honestly felt a little bit like Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane, because I could just feel that God was gonna use me in my story for good. But like that night, I didn't want it. And so that was like a really powerful moment. It's like, okay, we know that good is gonna come of this.
But good wouldn't come easy. Christy would face countless obstacles ahead, but she was driven to get back to her active lifestyle. And eventually, she hoped to be back in the sky.
A lot of people just didn't assume I'd be back to flying. And even in the rehab center, they'd find out I was a pilot. Oh, what did you fly? So I'd always correct people and say, well, I do fly C-130s.
Christy had a number of mentors, including other amputees who reached out to support her on this new journey. None more than Major Phil Varlick.
His wife and him sent me a card in the hospital. He's like, Christy, hope you're doing well. Also, you're overdue on your monthly boldface. Please fill this out and send it back to me. So it's like this pilot thing that every month we have to do this test. And so that was just like so huge to me that he was the only one that basically saying like, I know you're gonna get back. And so I like pinned his like boldface that he sent me in my room.
Over the next 8 months, Christy rehabbed, learning this new way of life. She had to go through 2 medical boards to get back in the Air Force, one to be retained as an officer, and then a second to be retained as a pilot. During these times, family and friends wanted updates on Christy, but her twin sister Jessica and coworker George, who were both by her side throughout the rehab process, couldn't keep up.
That's it, I'm making a blog so we can just update the blog once a day or twice a day. And so he thought he was being really clever and he named the blog One Leg Up on Life.
The response was overwhelming.
We realized like, wow, we have a platform. Like we have a lot of people that are really following our story and we should do something with it.
That's when the nonprofit One Leg Up on Life was born.
Hi everyone, Christy with One Leg Up on Life. Today is day 1 in the clinic.
Its mission to glorify God and help those in Haiti who can't afford desperately needed limbs live life to the fullest by providing prosthetics.
These just little tiny moments of like greatness, of like you see a little girl walk for her first time, or I'll teach another amputee how to run and see them smile. And that's when I'm just like, okay, God, it's all worth it.
A tragic experience turned into good. But there was still one thing Christy had left to accomplish.
I'm feeling awesome, excited, nervous. It'll be good.
Just more than a year after the accident, she flew.
109. Kopacjuk.
Her co-pilot on her first flight back, Major Varlick.
I think my whole life actually sort of led up to this, like being able to handle this. God uses all of us in different ways, and like this is just the way He is using me. And I think sometimes we wish He would give us more guidance in the future, but He doesn't. So that just forces us to trust Him in each step of the way.
Rhett, what made this story so challenging to produce is there's so many layers. Her twin sister, Jess, actually got to finish her medical school at the same hospital Christy was rehabbing at, and she did a lot of work in Haiti after the earthquake, working with amputees years before Christy's accident even happened. So it's just really cool to see how everything is coming together and how much God has worked in her life.
Yeah, great story. Good job putting it together. I'm sure she is an inspiration to so many out there fighting the same battle. All right, Matt?
Yeah, just a great story, guys. Thanks for that. All right, this past weekend, Liberty Athletics honored former AD of ticket operations Anna Whitehurst Hutchinson by naming the ticket booth here at Liberty Arena in her memory. Anna passed away tragically this past June, but her legacy will live on with the naming of the Whitehurst ticket booth. Flames Athletic Director Ian McCaw spoke about her legacy and the impact she made on those around her.
Anna was an incredibly joyful person, and everyone around her was really uplifted just by her spirit, by the way she treated people and the way she loved people. And you know, the Bible tells us to love our neighbors, and no one did that any better than Anna. She loved her staff, she loved her coworkers, she loved her customers, and just went to great lengths to serve all those people. So she leaves a wonderful legacy and a great example for all of us.
Coming up, the emotional story of a Liberty field hockey coach and the life-changing influence her mother made on her.
Plus, Warm, Hot, and Fuego brings you the best Flames moments from the week. That's when Flames Central returns.
Service, integrity, honor. You lead your career with these virtues. Now lead your field with the degree you want at a price you've earned. Maximize your benefits at Liberty University and pay just $250 per hour for undergraduate or $275 to $300 per hour for graduate and doctoral degrees. For over 30 years, Liberty has supported military families by offering low tuition and generous benefits, because integrity to us means honoring your service, now and always.
Heroes wear uniforms. You wear your strength, courage, dedication on your sleeve, and your determination on your face. We're honored to help heroes like you with a 25% discount on undergraduate, graduate, or doctoral tuition. No matter how you serve, we're here to serve you.
In 1776, one of the most important documents in our nation's history was penned by one of Virginia's most famous residents. Throughout the next 200 years, the importance of Central Virginia was deeply woven into the tapestry of our nation's history. Liberty University is blessed to be built upon these same historic grounds, furthering the Christian tradition of our founding fathers and training young men and women of character and of calling. At Liberty, you're welcomed into a community rich with history And we invite you to explore our campus in Central Virginia to discover more than just the surface level. Building upon the tapestry of history, we strive for greatness, humble to be at the heart of where the country began.
Well, hey there, friends. Welcome back to Liberty Arena for this edition of Flame Central. Well, when you hear the phrase lifelong impact, a mother has to come to the forefront of your mind. And that's exactly the case for Liberty Field Hockey assistant coach Heather Hefner. It was her mom, Susan, that formed her into the woman and coach that she is today for the Lady Flames. A mother's influence on a daughter knows no bounds. Liberty University Field Hockey assistant coach Heather Hefner is well aware of how much her mother shaped her, beginning as her middle school coach.
When I was in it, I was, oh my gosh, so mad at her all the time. I was like, oh, what the heck, man? There was a time at practice where I was giving her sass, and, you know, she treated me just like any other player. She said, go take a lap. And I was like, oh, crap. It was an incredible balance of knowing, yes, this is my daughter, but when she's on the field, she's a player, and I'm going to treat her like any of the other players, you know, and looking back now and, you know, where I've gone and where I'm at now, I'm like, dang, she was an awesome, awesome coach.
Heather would eventually commit to playing field hockey at Wake Forest, and the future seemed assured. But then, in the spring of her final high school season, she was stunned by the news that her mother had been diagnosed with cancer. The illness caused Heather to reconsider her decision to go away to college.
At that point, I was supposed to be going for summer school that summer. So of course, I'm like, I'm not going to summer school. Like, I want to be here. I want to be here for her first chemo session. You know, I can't, there's no way I can go right now.
But her mother refused to allow this sickness to disrupt her daughter's plans.
She looked at me and was like, Heather, you have to continue living your life. You have to go. After this, you have to go. You know, I'm going to be here. I'm going to be fine. I have people around me. I need you to go and do what you're meant to do. You know, God had her, and she knew that God had me. And so, you know, I went down, and it was definitely tough. But those first couple months, my mom was actually doing really well. She came down to a few games. You know, people would see her and they'd be like, man, your mom looks great. And I'd be like, I know, what the heck, man? So, you know, there were moments where it didn't feel real, really, especially being so far away. I wasn't in the midst of it.
But by the middle of Heather's freshman year, the disease began to take its toll.
It was when I came home from winter break, that was when it got tough. She started doing not so well in those winter months, and then actually I came home over spring break, and she was admitted to the hospital then for about a week or two. And so going back those last couple weeks, months there, especially because spring is so hard. Anybody who's in sports knows that off season is tough, right? So you're in the heat of it, you're, you know, working out hard, you're training hard, and in the back of your mind, you're like, dang, you know, she's actually not doing well.
There were those times during the struggle when Heather's faith in God was challenged.
Once she started getting more sick and, you know, we were praying and prayers weren't being answered, and you meet that crossroad, right? You know, you have this rub, there's this conflict with God. Is like, okay, I know you can heal her, so why not? You know, but if you look at the story of Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego, they say, I know you can and you will deliver us from this furnace, but even if not, you know, and that is where I had to go in my faith, is even if not, you are still good.
In spite of her illness, Heather's mother displayed a faith in God that inspired everyone around her.
A lot of people throughout the whole thing, you know, why your mom? Why does this happen to good people? My mom would look at them and she'd say, why not me? Why not me? How am I any different than anyone else? We're all broken, we're all sinners. And so honestly, her faith throughout the whole thing is what kept me going, is what kept me. I can remember we were sitting on the beach, and this was weeks before she passed away. We had asked the doctors if we could go on a vacation, and they said go. Basically meaning this is all you have. And I can remember sitting on the beach, and it was me and my older brother, and she looked at us and she said, guys, I'm going home to be with Jesus soon. And you know, of course, me and my brother are like sitting there in disbelief, like, how can you say that so confidently? And she said, you gotta promise me something. You gotta promise me
you'll never be angry with God because it's only because of him that I've even made it this far. And that always stuck with me. Every single time I'd want to be like, God, what the heck? You know, I'd think about her and I'd think about her faith and the faith that she had throughout, knowing that the healing that was going to happen was an eternal healing. My mom's in heaven right now, living the best healing, the best life, you know, the best eternity that she can because she's with Jesus. And so when I rest on that, you know, that's where I was able to find my faith again and say, okay, God, like, I know you're in this, and I know that you are present and that you've got her. And, you know, someone said to me one time, and this has stuck with me forever, but God lends us people. God lent me my mom. You know, I don't have ownership over her. God said, here's your mom for 18 years of your life. And she was a freaking awesome mom, you know, and now she's back where she belongs.
Maddie, good work out there, buddy.
Now Heather is determined that her mother should live on, not only in heaven, but also here on earth, as she keeps her mother's legacy alive in her own coaching.
I can remember there were times she was serious as can be when she needed to be, and there were times she was doing cartwheels on the field and having a good time, and I like to think, you know, that's what I'm like out here. There's a good a balance, a level of seriousness, and the same level of being able to meet these girls where they're at. You know, they're not just our athletes, they're humans who need to be loved. And that's everything that I strive to do as a coach, is to know these girls and to love them and pursue them, and, you know, to be someone that they can come talk to. And that's exactly how my mom coached.
Yeah, just a powerful story about a mother's influence. Our thanks to Ken Toes for producing that piece. All right, time now for Warm, Hot, and Fuego, the top players or moments from the past week in Liberty Athletics. We're here at the gorgeous Liberty Arena, so of course we're locking in on hoops. Let's begin with Warm, Brett. Who's your pick? And do we, I guess that hoops is the theme,
Hoops
right?
is kind of the theme here today. There were some firsts for Liberty basketball. First points being scored as a collegiate athlete, you could say. And we're going to start off here. Martin Maid. We all talk about the athleticism for this guy, and he showed it. Great first step as he goes in, lays it in. He's, you know, everybody says this guy is a freak athlete.
Yeah, that's true.
He was able to show it there with that first step. Nice speed going through there. Isaiah Warfield. A lot of hype on him. Big guard. He can stretch it out, hit a three, but also I like the block. He got on up there. This is a guy.
Good defender.
Yeah, for sure. And then Jonathan Jackson, pure shooter. LU just became even more dangerous with this guy on the court. He can really shoot the ball, and you talk about three-pointers. This team's going to just keep lighting it up.
What a week. All three of those guys are getting their first collegiate points. That's incredible. All right, from Warm now, we go to Hot. Who's your choice here?
Hot, Blake Preston, and this is a young man that he just continues to get better and better each and every week, every game, really. And he just got his first double-double this past week, and I love the fact that I think he's just getting more and more confident. He's getting more and more comfortable in the system. Last year, obviously not going to see a ton of minutes with Scotty James, but now this season, he is the go-to guy. So to see him in double-digit points consistently over the past 10 days, you could say, that is great news for Liberty basketball.
Flame's ceiling suddenly gets a lot higher with him providing that offensive punch. All right, and finally, in Fuego, it's the highest honor we can bestow on anyone. Rhett, who's in Fuego this week in, is it men's or women's basketball?
It's women's basketball. This is more of a performance, okay? I want to just put it, third quarter, Ashton Baker, Emily Lytle, they just took off. There was one of those moments where you're saying, okay, the seniors on this team, the veterans, are going to lead the way. It was a close ball game. Only a 6-point spread, and all of a sudden you could just see, you know, it's the switch was flipped. And they got going. We talk about Baker all season long. When she came as a freshman, we said, okay, she has got speed to burn. Well, her game has gone so much further now. She's got the, you know, the stop and pop that she's got locked down. She can also drain it from three. Her three-point range has gotten so much better. And then Emily Lytle, she is like an assassin.
Yeah, she is.
She doesn't say much. You don't see her coming, all of a sudden you're dead. Like, she's just the way it happens for her. She can hit you from deep. She can also get into the paint. And these two leaders are just doing an absolutely great job of bringing in the youth on this team, gelling them together. And I really think that Liberty women's basketball is going to be great during conference play.
A lot of talent, and that veteran leadership that you talk about with those two will really help carry this program as they go forward. Great choice for in Fuego. Nice job, Brett. We get out of your studio environment. I was a little worried, but you held it together pretty nicely. Yeah, good job, Brett. All right, well, coming up when we return, it's the ultimate humiliation for Rhett. I'll let you think about what that might be during the break, but you're going to want to see this when Flame Central returns.
Since 1971, Liberty University has had one mission: training champions for Christ. We've been at this for a while, and in the shadow of the Blue Ridge Mountains, we have grown to be a global force. Today, Liberty runs over 100,000 students around the globe, studying across 15 colleges and schools. And among that, proudly over 30,000 military students and their families. Across 700 programs of study, we train as one: nurses, artists, business leaders of the future and today. Together, we work to give back through service trips, local community work, and over 500,000 volunteer hours per year. And we play just as hard as we study, with 20 NCAA athletic programs and over 40 club sports teams. So, who are we? We are Liberty University, and we train champions for Christ.
You work hard. You sacrifice. You do what it takes for your kids to succeed. College can be expensive, but your income makes it difficult to qualify for much, if any, need-be state. Until now. Liberty's Middle America Scholarship provides over $20,000 in financial aid over the course of 4 years, to families typically bringing in between $35,000 and $95,000 annually. At Liberty, we don't just believe everyone should have access to higher education, we make it happen.
What are the moments that stick with you? The ones that take your breath away. Sometimes you find them when you least expect them. You just need the opportunities to pursue. At Liberty University, you can earn a world-class degree and alongside, walk away with memories and experiences that will last a lifetime for all your passions and interests. So what is your dream? Liberty University can ignite it, and your outcome will change the world.
Welcome back to the show. If you know anything about Flame Central, you know we've had a Flames football fantasy league all throughout the year, but you may not know, kind of in-house, we do your typical NFL fantasy league. Now, unfortunately for Rhett, you would finish last. So you would have to take your punishment, which this year was putting a giant magnet on your car that told the world you were a terrible fantasy general manager and would have to remain on your car, in your case, your van, for a week. Now, unfortunately, I heard that didn't happen.
Yeah, you know, I think one of my kids kind of sabotaged the effort. He came when I came home, he said, "Dad, I'm sorry that you're a loser." And I said, "I know." And then I think he moved the magnet, and then it flew off. So I have to find it.
Somewhere around Lynchburg, it's floating around there. But Rhett, way to take it like a man.
I
appreciate that. Hey, thanks so much for tuning in this week. For Rhett, I'm Matt. We'll see you right back here next week, and you can always catch much more at libertyflames.com.